The warning. Captain Elena Reeves stood at the observation deck of the EDF Intrepid, Earth's flagship vessel, watching the stars with a heaviness that seemed to pull at her very soul. 3 days ago, the Nexeri Collective had wiped out Outpost Helios without warning or provocation. 2,000 lives, scientists, engineers, families, gone in an instant. The loss weighed on her like a physical burden, made worse by the fact that her sister had been stationed there. "Admiral Chen is ready for you, Captain," Lieutenant Wallace said from behind her. Elena nodded without turning. "Tell him I'll be there in 5 minutes." The Nexeri had appeared 6 months ago, massive crystalline ships emerging from the darkness beyond Neptune. First contact had been cautious but promising. The aliens were technologically advanced, seemingly peaceful, and interested in cultural exchange. Until they weren't. As Elena walked through the corridors of the Intrepid, crew members saluted her with grim faces. Everyone knew what was at stake. 3 outposts destroyed in 2 weeks. 15,000 dead. No declarations, no demands, just sudden, brutal annihilation. The war room was already filled when Elena arrived. Admiral Chen, a stern man with silver hair and eyes that had seen too much warfare, stood at the center console. Around him, the fleet's top commanders and scientists watched in tense silence. "Captain Reeves," Chen nodded. "You've read the intelligence reports." "Yes, sir." "The Nexeri have positioned their fleet near Europa. They appear to be preparing for another strike." "They're getting bolder," Commander Rodriguez added, "moving closer to Earth with each attack." Chen's expression darkened. "What they don't know is that we're ready for them this time." He tapped a command into the console, and a holographic image appeared. A sleek, cylindrical device about the size of a small shuttle. "Project Prometheus," Chen said. "Developed in secret for the past decade. A quantum displacement weapon capable of... Well, Dr. Lakshmi can explain better than I can." Dr. Amara Lakshmi stepped forward, her usually calm demeanor replaced by evident discomfort. "Prometheus doesn't just destroy its target, Admiral. It removes it from our reality. The targeted area is displaced into a pocket dimension, effectively erasing it from existence. The effect is precise, contained, and permanent." Elena stared at the hologram. "And you're certain this works?" "We tested it in the Kuiper Belt last month," Lakshmi said quietly. "A small-scale demonstration. But yes, it works exactly as designed." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. They had created a weapon that could erase worlds. "Before we deploy Prometheus," Chen said, breaking the silence, "we're giving the Nexeri one final warning. A chance to withdraw and cease hostilities." He turned to Elena. "Captain Reeves, your ship will deliver this message. You lost family at Helios. The Nexeri need to see that humanity's warning comes from genuine pain, not empty threats." Elena felt her throat tighten. "Yes, sir." 6 hours later, Elena sat alone in her quarters, recording the message that would either save humanity or condemn it to war. "This is Captain Elena Reeves of the Earth Defense Fleet," she began, her voice steady despite the storm inside her. "I speak to the Nexeri Collective with humanity's final warning. 3 of our outposts have been destroyed without provocation. 15,000 lives extinguished. No more." She leaned forward, letting her grief and determination show. "Humanity has developed weapons beyond your understanding. We have the capability to erase not just ships or outposts, but entire worlds. We have never wanted to use such power, but make no mistake, we will." Elena paused, thinking of her sister's last message, excited about new crystalline formations discovered near Helios. Formations that, in hindsight, had likely been Nexeri probes. "Withdraw your forces from our solar system. Cease all hostilities. This is not a negotiation. It is the only path that doesn't lead to your extinction. You have 48 Earth hours to comply and begin withdrawal." She took a deep breath. "The next shot will be your last. Choose wisely." As the recording ended, Alina stared at her reflection in the darkened screen. Humanity had always prided itself on exploration, diplomacy, and peaceful coexistence. Now they were threatening to erase an entire species from reality. Had they become the very monsters they feared? Lieutenant Wallace's voice came through the intercom. "Captain, we've detected Nexari movement. They're approaching." Alina closed her eyes briefly. "Send the message on all frequencies. Make sure they can't miss it." As the Intrepid's communications array broadcast humanity's ultimatum across the void, Alina returned to the observation deck. The stars seemed colder now, distant witnesses to a conflict that could change the face of the galaxy forever. "We're receiving a response," Wallace said, hurrying onto the deck. "The Nexari. They're laughing, Captain. Laughing. Their transmission. It's difficult to translate precisely, but their leader seems amused. They're saying we're admirable for thinking we could threaten them." Alina's hands gripped the railing until her knuckles turned white. "Prepare Prometheus for deployment. If they want proof of our resolve, we'll give it to them." As the Intrepid moved silently through space, heading toward the designated demonstration site, an uninhabited asteroid belt where the weapon's power could be shown without loss of life, Alina thought about the message she'd sent. The universe was watching now. How humanity responded would define them for centuries to come. The stars watched in silence, indifferent to the choices of the small beings who moved between them, carrying the power to erase worlds and the burden of deciding whether to use it. The demonstration. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter loomed ahead, a perfect testing ground. Isolated, uninhabited, and visible to the Nexari sensors. Alina stood on the bridge of the Intrepid, her posture rigid as stone. "The Nexari flagship has changed course," Lieutenant Wallace reported. "They're following us, Captain. 3 of their battlecruisers are in formation behind them." "They think we're bluffing," Commander Rodriguez said, his voice low. "They want to see what we'll do." Alina nodded. "Then let's show them. Deploy Prometheus probe. Target the largest asteroid in the field, the one we've designated as 2187. The weapons officer's fingers flew across his console. "Prometheus deployed, Captain. T-minus 60 seconds to activation." On the view screen, a small, sleek device detached from the Intrepid's hull, propelling itself toward the massive asteroid, nearly 2 kilometers across, as 2187 was a hulking shadow against the stars. "Nexari vessels are scanning the probe," Wallace said. "They're keeping their distance but watching closely." Alina felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her shoulders. This was humanity's line in the sand, their declaration that despite being newcomers to interstellar politics, they would not be victims. Activation in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with eerie silence, a ripple passed across the asteroid's surface. It didn't explode or shatter. Instead, it simply ceased to exist, leaving behind nothing but empty space where a massive rock had been moments before. "Prometheus deployment successful," the weapons officer confirmed. "Target has been displaced from our dimensional plane." The bridge fell silent. They had just erased 2 billion tons of matter from existence, as casually as deleting a file. "The Nexari vessels have stopped," Wallace said, breaking the silence. They're transmitting something." The view screen flickered, revealing a Nexari for the first time. They were tall, crystalline beings with faceted features that seemed to shimmer with inner light. The one addressing them, presumably their leader, had deep blue formations across what might be considered a face. "Humans," the translation software rendered the alien speech into English. "You have developed displacement technology. Interesting. Perhaps you are not as primitive as we assessed." Alina stepped forward. "This was a demonstration. If you continue your aggression against Earth or any human settlement, we will not hesitate to use Prometheus against your ships, your outposts, or even your homeworld." The Nexari's crystalline features shifted in what might have been amusement. Bold threats from a young species, but unnecessary. We were not attacking your outposts. Elena felt as though she'd been struck. 15,000 people are dead. 3 outposts destroyed. Don't insult us by denying your actions. We did not say the outposts were not destroyed, the Nexari clarified. We said we were not attacking them. We were harvesting. Harvesting. Rodriguez spat the word. Your outposts were built on crystalline formations that are sacred to us, living formations that have existed for millions of years. When your people began mining them, the formations defended themselves. Elena's mind raced to her sister's last message about the crystalline discoveries. You're saying those formations are alive, sentient. They are extensions of us, the Nexari said. We are not separate beings with ships. What you call our vessels are living parts of our collective consciousness. The formations your people discovered were our young, sleeping, growing, until your mining operations began cutting into them. The revelation hit Elena like a physical blow. They hadn't been unprovoked attacks. They had been a species defending its children. You could have communicated this, she said, struggling to keep her voice even. You could have warned us. We attempted to. Your translation systems were inadequate. By the time we established proper communication channels, your people had already damaged 3 nursery clusters. The defensive response was automatic, not a calculated attack. Elena turned to Dr. Lakshmi, who had joined them on the bridge. Is this possible? The scientist nodded slowly. The crystalline samples we recovered from the first contact. We thought they were technology, but our tests did show unusual energy patterns consistent with biological processes. Elena faced the Nexari again. If what you're saying is true, then we need to establish proper communication immediately. But first, as a show of good faith, all Nexari forces will withdraw from Earth's system until diplomatic protocols can be established. The crystalline beings seem to consider this acceptable. But know this, humans, we have seen your Prometheus technology now. It is familiar to us. Our ancestors developed similar weapons eons ago, during our violent phase. They nearly destroyed us. Be careful with such power. It changes those who wield it as surely as it changes reality itself. As the transmission ended, Elena sank into her captain's chair, the adrenaline draining from her body. Orders, Captain. Wallace asked quietly. Recall Prometheus. Contact Earth Command. Tell them. She paused, searching for the right words. Tell them we need to redefine our understanding of life in this galaxy, and that we came very close to making a terrible mistake. In the days that followed, a tentative peace was established. Nexari representatives came to Earth, while human scientists visited the crystalline colonies to learn how to identify and avoid the living formations. Translation protocols were refined, cultural exchanges began, and slowly, understanding grew where fear had once dominated. Elena stood on the observation deck of the Intrepid once more, watching Earth grow larger in the view screen as they returned home. Beside her stood a Nexari diplomat, a smaller crystalline being named Syrinx. Your sister, Syrinx said, its voice creating a melodic resonance through the translator. The one at the Helios outpost. She was not destroyed. Elena turned sharply. What? When the nursery cluster defended itself, it did not kill all humans. Some were absorbed, preserved within the crystalline matrix. Your sister was studying the formations with respect. The nursery recognized this. Hope, sudden and painful, flared in Elena's chest. She's alive. Can she be retrieved? It is not simple, Syrinx cautioned, but it may be possible. The connection between your DNA might help us locate her consciousness within the matrix. Elena looked back at the stars, tears blurring her vision. All this time, we thought we were alone in the universe, looking for other beings like ourselves. But life takes forms we never imagined, doesn't it? Yes, Syrinx agreed. And sometimes, the most difficult first contact is with the unknown within ourselves. Your people created a weapon that could erase worlds, and then chose not to use it, even when you believe yourselves under attack. That choice defines humanity more than the weapon itself. As the Intrepid docked with Earth's orbital station, Alina realized that humanity's final warning had become something else entirely, the first words of a new conversation. The next shot hadn't been their last. Instead, it had been the beginning of understanding that the universe was stranger, more complex, and more wonderful than they had ever imagined. And somewhere, preserved in living crystal, her sister waited to be found.